Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to a live edition of the Highbury Squad. We hope you are all well, happy, healthy, safe and sound, no matter where in the world you might be. You have heard my take and Super Kev's take on the Arsenal season. Now, as always on the Highbury Squad, it is the fans' voice that we will hear. Let's go.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
The Arsenal fans, here they are on the last game of the season where we crushed the Toffees 5-1. It has been a roller coaster ride. It wouldn't be, let's just say that that's how it is being an Arsenal fan over the last few years. But welcoming back, and by the way, the Dicky Bow is still in effect. My podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell.
Squaddies, chill out. Season's over. Now it's your review. So at ease, Squaddies.
Kev.
Yeah, it's been a long day. It's been a long day, Soph.
What? So listen, let me tell you before I bring in our first two epic gooners. Your teams have kept you busy this season. The Arsenal, Everton, and Nottingham Forest, who are about to have their biggest game probably since, was it the 79 European Cup final?
Biggest game since biggest game for is it 23, 33 years?
Crazy.
Biggest game. 23 years. 23 or something. Massive. That's the last time they were in the Premier League.
Can I just say that I'm rooting for Forest because obviously I love you and I love Matt Ford as well, who is a lifelong suffering Forest fan. And I think it would be amazing to have Leeds and Forest and Villa and these teams. Leeds won did they win the European Cup in the late 70s when they got to the final? No, I think they lost. But Forest, Villa, all of these historical teams, Kev.
Midlands as well. Midlands, it just livens the Midlands up, doesn't it?
Can I just say the funniest thing I've seen all season, and I did need some cheering up, is the Paddy Power promo. We're all lost. Actually, it was Blinkos. It's not Blancos.
Blancos. Lost Blancos.
And you were wearing a Benzema shirt, which was spelled incorrectly. Yeah, a Benzema. And Super Peter Reid, oh my God, dressed
How good did he look as a matter of
If you haven't seen this video from Paddy Power, it is absolutely epic. And who was it who was cooking the Spanish food and then put HP? Oh my God, it was so good. It was so good. All right, here we go. Let's bring in two of my favorite women in the whole world, let alone being gooners. They've contributed to this show this season, and they are not only very knowledgeable women who know their game, but they are also amazing people that do incredible things off the pitch as well. Welcome, Lucy the Gooner and MK from Arsenal Los Angeles.
Thank you, guys. Lovely to be back.
Hi, ladies. How you doing?
We're doing well. Happy to be in Europe.
Oh, good. Well, happy the season's over. It was a long one.
All right. Well, let's start with, do you think it was a failure versus do you think that it was a good season? Lucy, I'm going to start with you. I think your dad has been very vocal about the owners. Of course, that's where he puts a lot of the stunt in growth with regards to our club too. Where do you stand in terms of where you thought we were going to end up, versus we did end up, and if you think we choked or if it was actually a decent season?
I'll be so honest. I think it was the way that we choked more so than the fact we did. It was If you'd have told me we'd have got fifth this year, I would have laughed in your face. I'll be so honest. I didn't see it happening. I didn't see that amount of progress. But at the same time, when we get that close to taking fourth off of Tottenham and then bottle it in the last few games, you just got to ask yourself, how can you really call that a success? Like, you could see, obviously they do the little follow along, Mikel Arteta getting off the coach on Sky Sports, and he didn't look confident or happy going forward. And the atmosphere, I think, from that game really carried over. Obviously, the last game of the season, we showed up, and if anything, that made it harder to watch because we could have sealed the deal at Tottenham or at Newcastle, and we just kind of let it slip out of our fingers again. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was a massive failure, but also at the same time, I was disappointed. Yeah.
MK, do you think the disappointment would be as amplified if it was Manchester United who had finished above us? What's your take on where you were at the beginning of the season versus the opportunity we had and didn't capitalize on, and then the team that actually ended up beating us to the Champions League spot? How do you quantify all of that?
Well, I think what Lucy said is exactly right. It's the way in which we fell to make the top four. And I think, yeah, of course, it's always going to hurt more when it's Tottenham. Although as a fan from the early aughts, I mean, I wouldn't be very happy if United were above us either, to be quite honest. It both hurts. But so I think it's a bit of, because Tottenham got there, but it's also like we had every bit of a chance to get there and we didn't do it. Like the performance against Newcastle, I think for me is more upsetting than the loss to Spurs, because the loss to Spurs, you could say that Paul Tierney was not very fair to us. But I think that the loss to Newcastle is really the lowest point of the season for me, because if we had won that, we would be in Champions League right now.
Can you hear, Soph?
Yeah, sorry. It just cut out there. I've had a bit of a sound issue, so hopefully it's okay on your end. I'm not sure that we could be making excuses for referees and decisions. And I think every team has gone through injuries and instances. I think there's a lot that we can point to. He changed the game for sure in that match,
that's what
MK.
I mean.
It was a bit of a soft decision, let's be honest. We've seen a lot worse, but over 38 games. So this is how I try to make myself not go too crazy. Over 38 games in a season, you have every opportunity to win. There was a point in the season where we were 6 points ahead of Spurs, plus we had a couple of games in hand. And that's the unfortunate thing. I'm going to swing it back to Lucy, Kev, because you and I have gone at it a little bit about January. January keeps coming up as a major talking point. We let Aubameyang go, which I think most sensible Arsenal fans agree with was the right decision. I don't think anybody's going to argue with the fact that Arteta has wanted to clean the house and take out the toxicity loose. But do you think, having seen what Newcastle did in January in Tottenham, which elevated them, was it a massive mistake?
I can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to filter out the bad eggs in the dressing room, maybe, and trying to get rid of the negativity that's been going on. But realistically, the squad that we have is too thin to compete. Like when you look at the depth of City, I've got something in my eye somewhere. And when you look at the depth of City and Liverpool and even Chelsea and now Tottenham, like you say, in January they did bits. So we need some serious investment into the team. And as much as it's lovely to bring up academy players and see them doing well and gelling as a team, like you need some experience in there as well. We're a very, very young squad to our own demise. We need someone in there that is more of a leader who, that can take charge. Like we had Lacazette, who was apparently a great influence to the younger players, but obviously it's not likely that he's going to be staying. So just having some more players in there with some more experience and some more know-how, I feel like would be so beneficial to the team. And not only that, but when we get injuries, we fall apart. So we just need the depth more than anything.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, Kev, that you have said for a long, long time. And I just wondered, I know that you have a question for these Gooners as well, but squad depth. Now we've got European football. You know, I was very critical of Mikel Arteta for getting us kicked out of Europe when we were in it for 20 plus years by the man that he replaced. He's got us back into the Europa League, which is still a vehicle back to the Champions League. But when you think about how we've struggled at times this season, key injuries to, is Thomas Partey going to be able to stay fit? Is Tierney? Is Tomiyasu injury prone? Thin squad. What's your lobbed question to MK and Luce, Kev?
Well, my question is a simple one, to be honest. After 3 games, and we find ourselves rock bottom of the league, if I said to you the team would finish where we finished, would you see that as a failure or a positive?
On MK, you go first.
Well, I think it is a positive. I mean, progress is progress, right? Yeah, we all wanted top 4. And, we had 13 losses, I believe it was, across the season, and some to teams that we really should have won. And I think it's absolutely valid for people to be upset about that, for people when they say that they have higher standards for Arsenal. Look, we all have high standards for Arsenal. But the reality is, as Lucy has mentioned, we didn't have the squad depth. And I think her father is absolutely right that comes down to ownership when they say things like, we want you to, be wages saved FC, as I've seen going around. And, that's how they've chosen to run this football club. This was the year to make Champions League, though, because now we are going to be playing European football on Thursdays. And now we are going to have more of a squad depth issue. This ownership needs to realize that if they want to be competitive and keep players like Saka, keep players like Martinelli, that they need to be willing to invest, I believe, at minimum £200 million this summer if they want to overhaul the squad. That's a start. And that's just the reality of today's financials. That you cannot run a club like America, where there's no relegation, where there are salary caps, and where there are more rules. We all know that financial fair play has no teeth whatsoever in UEFA. So this ownership needs to decide that if they want Project Youth, they need to keep their youth. And if they want to keep the youth, they have to get Champions League. So great, we're back in Europe, but we have to make the most of it this season. There's no more 2 windows, 3 windows down the line. It's this window, and that's it.
Fair comment. Luce, where do you stand with Kev's question?
Really well said. I think pretty much hit the nail on the head. And that season of not being in Europe as well was a season to really start building. And I feel like we've really missed an opportunity to not only crack down, focus on the Premier League. Now we're back in Europe. There's certain expectations that need to be held. And I think considering we didn't get the top 4, there's no excuse now for next year. That needs to be an absolute. We need to be a top 4 team, because otherwise, what has the past 4 years with Mikel Arteta been about? They want to back this manager. They gave him much more backing than they ever gave Emery, who is a proven manager prior to coming to Arsenal with experience, and now after has gone on to win the Europa League again. So what does this manager have that Emery didn't have? A lot less experience, a lot less know-how, and a lot less credentials. So I feel like if we don't do bits in Europe this year, then he's got to go.
Okay, so we have a couple more folks to bring in, just a couple more minutes here with Lucy the Gooner and MK from Arsenal Los Angeles. If you're going to take positives from this season, I'd love to know from you guys who you think the best player was, your favorite moment, and the one thing that gives you hope going forward. MK, we'll start with you on those 3.
I'll start by saying the player of the season for me is Saka. He's our star boy. He's absolutely phenomenal. I think he has the potential to be a world-class footballer and a star for England as well. And I'm very happy he's with us. But again, we have to do our best to make sure that we can keep him. I would say my favorite moment was beating Spurs earlier in the season. I mean, it's always great when we can give them a spanking. And what was the final? What you asked for more.
You're positive. What you feel
I'm
positive moving forward, yeah.
I have to say that making Europe and going on a run here in Los Angeles, we've had 50, 100 Gooners coming out to the pub at 8 in the morning. And it's been so fun to see the community growing and the positivity and that infectious atmosphere. So that, no, we didn't make top 4, but you know what? It's been so great to see what's been going on here. And I'm sure around the country and the world as well. So I'm positive. I'm excited for next season. And yeah, come on, you Gunners.
I love
Thank
that.
you again for having us on.
No, and MK brings up a brilliant point, which is why we love our show with everyone from around the world. And I've seen the Arsenal America community grow and grow. MK has been pushing me for this, and next season we will do a couple of shows from the Fox and Hound for sure.
Great.
And when people talk about toxicity, we've seen how fans have come together at home and away, and there are so many fans on the international scene that love their club and support them through social media as well. And that is fundamentally important in terms of how we can try and rebuild the fan base so there isn't this toxicity, whether we agree or disagree. I think that's really important. Luce, your best player, the thing that gives you hope, one of your favorite moments. Where do you sit with this?
My best player, I'd have to say Martinelli. I absolutely love watching him play. He's an absolute rocket, and the potential he's got is just, he's going to be an absolute nightmare for opposing teams this season. I think the season coming. My favourite moment, of course, beating Tottenham is always beautiful, but I feel like the comeback against Wolves was a real uplifting one for me. Like, it felt like the vibe was there, and like there's quite a few, to be fair. As miserable as we all want to be, beating Chelsea, and like we have had good moments this season. It's not all doom and gloom. And then the positive at the end, similar to what MK said, really, the atmosphere, especially leading up to the possibility of getting top four, the atmosphere in the stadium was just electric, and you could feel like it was actually, you could feel like we were building something, we could get behind the team. Obviously, it didn't really end that way, but hopefully next season we can actually do the business and get that vibe going again.
Brilliant. I totally agree. And I have to say that spanking of Spurs at home, that's the beauty about the derby, right? We beat them at home, they beat us at home. But I don't want to hear this whole, narrative when it comes to Tottenham, who are lauded and the darlings of the media, Kev. And they've got Kane and Son, the two world-class players who can get into any side in the world, a World Cup winning captain, goalkeeper, a manager who is just like the don of all dons, to kind of crush the youngest Premier League team against them. And considering that, we just bit ourselves in the arse at the end, I think MK and Lucy bring up some good points on that front.
Really good points, Soph. Really good points. MK and Lucy have, as we say in the business, they've put it in the onion bag. Sophie, they have. They've put it in the onion bag because, look, it's funny that MK is obviously in the States, in Europe at the moment. MK, of course, but resides in the States. Lucy goes to the games and is in England, and they share the same opinions. This is a good thing, because we've seen in the past where everybody's opinions was quite fragmented. So I think it's a really good thing that we're all kind of on the same channel, and we better get some players in this summer. We better do business.
There's going to be a meltdown.
We better do some quick business.
How beautiful would it to be to qualify for Champions League by winning the Europa League? And that would really shut them lot up down the road, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. So it's always a possibility. Yeah. We invest in the summer, get some good players in, and build on what we have. I feel like it's an actual possibility.
Well said, Luce, because the last time we won a European title was when this man was in the squad. And I'm sure his medals about there. It's a month.
Trust me, they're not easy to win. Let me tell you, they're not easy to win.
They're not.
So, but wait, we might be seeing that lot in the Europa anyway.
January.
So
yeah, we'll see him in January. Right, MK, let everyone know where they can find you.
Sure. I'm at MK Liebman on Twitter, or Arsenal LA if you'd like to follow our branch. I run the Twitter as well. So, and if you're ever in Los Angeles, please come say hi at the Fox and Hounds Clubs in Studio City, right by Universal Studios.
Amazing. Luce, let everyone know where they can find you.
Yep, so I'm at LuceTBH, that's LuceTBH on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm here on the Highbury Squad and on Lead Judges TV.
Awesome. Thank you, girls, for joining us. Thank you for contributing to our channel this season. We love you, and we'll be talking to you again real soon. Cheers.
Great. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Absolutely love Luce and MK Super Kev. To my dynamic duo, I like to call them, and from that dynamic duo to I'm thinking, is there Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch Part 2? Because we have two of them right here. We got Marky Mark and we've got Mark B.
How are we doing?
Hi, lads.
Super Kev. I'm Marky Mark. How you doing?
I'm great. How are we doing?
I'm good. So, can I just do this before? I've always wanted to do it. Whoa! Squaddies.
Wait, give it a little bit more welly. Do it again.
Oh, okay.
You can't. Don't do it soft, Mark. Come on.
I went too early.
Yeah.
Whoa! Whoa!
There you go.
Squaddies. At ease.
At ease.
Brilliant stuff. Mark and Mark have been listening to the show from the very first day. They've been hugely supportive of our channel. Both came to our Hippodrome event in London as well. And Kev, there was a moment where you were doing the coin thing, and I think Marky thought he had it, but then you said Mark B.
He was sat next to me. Do you know what it felt like? It felt like almost getting Champions League football and having it snatched.
Now you feel like the grass.
I don't resent him at all.
I'll send it to you for a couple of weeks, so you got to send it back.
Oh, thanks. Can I have it on Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Brilliant.
Kev, it was so funny because, like Marky said, they were sitting right next to each other, and there you were in your dicky bow, and you were approaching them, and I saw his little face, and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm going to get the coin," and then you said B, and it was like,
It was so similar to Barcelona when Barcelona won La Liga. I think it was Alex Song, and he thought he was going to get presented with a trophy. He was sick, so Alex Song stepped forward. It was very, very similar.
Okay, so I think you guys have some similar opinions, but Mark B, I'm going to start with you. I know that you've got very strong feelings about Mikel Arteta. You've been unafraid to express those on the show throughout the season. What is your take on the season? Is it a failure? Did we choke? Where did you think we were going to be? Give us your soundbite on that.
Well, I really, throughout the season, I really wanted it to work. I'd say this trust in this process. I really wanted for me to trust the process, and I wanted it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're Arteta hater or Arteta backer. You want Arsenal to do well. Mm-hmm. Arteta's our manager, and I just want Arsenal to do well. I want us to win games, and in many ways, the same as you, Soph. I wanted to be proved wrong. In some of his decisions that he makes and the way some of the tactical errors that I've seen, it's still continuing. And you have to wonder to yourself, like, even the last few games of the season where we had to go to Tottenham, we didn't have to go and press the ball. And yet we've got lots of Martinelli and Cedric chasing down that ball and thinking, well, where's the tactics there? We don't have to win this game. We can do what Spurs, but we just played straight into Spurs' hands. And I've seen again when we played in against Brighton, where Lokonga was played a solo role in midfield, played Xhaka. These aren't just like experimental one-off mistakes. These are continuing. We've seen this before. So sometimes it's incredibly hard to try and trust this process and believe in it. So throughout the season, we've been on a roller coaster. We've been at points where we put runs of 10 games together, and you're thinking, okay, we're doing something here. And you start believing. Then suddenly you get chopped down, and you're thinking, right, okay, now we're back with three game losing run, and suddenly we're back to square one. So it's been a difficult season. I think one of the questions you were saying is that, Super Kev asked is that at the beginning of the season, after the first 3 games, would you have taken 5th place? And yes, of course, everybody would have taken 5th place, but it's not about that. It's because I could put my starting point from when Emery was manager and say, okay, have we made improvements from when Unai Emery was manager? Well, no, we haven't, because we're no further forward. We haven't progressed. So it's difficult to try and keep believing, but we do. Again, we're in the Europa. Thursday, Sunday football, and well, let's see how that is, because we've got to really strengthen the squad now. Because if we don't, we've just seen what happened to West Ham when they struggled because they didn't strengthen in January either. So we have to really sort of be on top of it. We have to strengthen that squad, and that's just not giving Nketiah like 100,000 a week new contract and saying, okay, we strengthened because we've seen that's not good enough. Sorry,
Marky,
I rambled on.
No, that's why this show is about you guys. It's less about me and Kev tonight, and it's more about you guys and what you think. And you bring up some really good points. I understand what you're saying about Emery. Now, have certain parts of our culture evolved under Arteta? Yes. But has our positioning in the league improved? No. So I understand what you're saying there. I do think from a DNA player profile perspective, we have improved this season, but I'm completely on the same page with you in the sense that, well, we're still in the Europa League. So really what progress has been made from that perspective? Marky, if only some of the Arsenal players showed as much fight as you and James Johnston did when you were, would I say, abusing Matic during the Manchester United game when he was subbed. If we'd have showed that same fight against Newcastle and Brighton and Southampton, we might be in the Champions League now. Will you please explain yourself? Because you did make the Daily Mail as well.
We did. I just reminded Matic that it might be a good time for him to consider to retire. And I did it in a very eloquent kind of way, and he happened to hear this and then remind me that he's won 3 league titles since we've won. And he wasn't very happy. He didn't stick around to the final whistle. He made a swift exit down the tunnel, but it's all very fun. It's all done in jest.
Yeah, it was hilarious, and
James is throwing me on. It's all James' fault.
He was a bad influence. The two of you that day were double trouble. Okay, Mark, where do you sit with the season? You've been very vocal, but I think also you kind of have a different perspective, really, to Mark. I know you're disappointed. Talk us through it a little bit.
Yeah, do you know what? It's been such a roller coaster of a season. And some really, really enjoyable moments. Like, it's provided some great moments. The win against Spurs, like the back end of the season, the run we went on to get beating West Ham, Chelsea, and United. It was great, but I just feel it was January. January was the chance to really invest in the squad to make sure we got over the line at the end of the season. And you could see, you didn't have to be a rocket science to know that we were too thin to make Champions League football. We were close, but if we hadn't have invested so much effort into trying to get Vlahovic when Juventus were just playing us off, Fiorentina was just playing us off because he was going to go to Juventus, then there could have been a plan B option. And I feel that the difference between Arsenal and Spurs is they got their players in. They got their players in January. And I don't want to butcher this tweet. I'm sure read his tweet out to you, which I sent to you. It basically said, it's taken Conte 6 months and 1 window and 2 free signings to get back into the Champions League. It's taken Arteta 2.5 years, 5 windows and £250 million spent to get us back into the Europa League, which he took us out of to begin with. Now, proof is in the pudding. I like a lot of what Arteta has done. I like the fact he's got rid of the deadwood. I like the fact he's got the fans. The fans are a lot more together. However, that's quite a damning thing you can't really argue with. And I just feel this summer is massive. Now we're back in Europe. So now we're back in European football. Our squad's already thin. We've got so much work to do in the summer. And if he gets it wrong and it starts to go wrong by Christmas, we have got to start all over again. This whole cycle of the players, maybe like the new manager wants, and just the philosophy and all of that, it all starts again. And and that worries me. Like, although we've had some great moments across the course of the season, I still don't know where I stand with Arteta. I still don't know. There's glimpses of like, he might be the guy. But I don't know. I just don't know. I flip-flop. I flip-flop more than Beach on Benidorm. There's more flip-flops in me than Beach on Benidorm. I don't know.
Super Kev, I know that you have some opinions regarding the two different stances on, Conte. The truth is, Conte did come in and he saved Spurs' season. He really did. They were on a road to nowhere with Nuno, but they did have the balls to make that change. Newcastle had the balls to make the change, moving from Bruce to Eddie. Arsenal are in a process, and it feels like, I understand what Mark's saying. It's kind of this vortex that you're stuck in. One minute you think we're moving forward, the next minute, we're not. I want to ask you about the ambition of the club and get the boys' point of view on this as well. To me, signing Eddie and giving him 100 grand a week is not moving forward. It is no sign of ambition. Are you really signing a player for 100 grand a week to sit on the bench because you're actually going to go in and get another striker? Or are you telling the fan base that this is the guy that's going to lead the line next season because he's had 5 good games? You and I have talked about Eddie. We've both felt that he's not the answer, Kev. Mm-hmm. He's not 100 grand a week player, in my personal opinion. What's your take on the message that this sends in terms of our continued rebuild for the summer?
Look, I think Mikel Arteta likes him because he's got the right attitude. What people have to understand, and this is the important part, that fair enough, if you let Eddie go, if you add up what you pay for somebody and then the wages, it's going to cost you more than 100 grand. This is the way it works. However you break it down, it doesn't matter. However you break it down, it's going to cost Arsenal a lot of money. He's free to go anywhere he likes. So now you're competing against everybody else, Arsenal. This is the issue. So at the end of the day, the manager knows he needs better players in. He knows that. The key is having a squad. And I've said it before on here, I don't think Eddie's the answer. Did he prove me wrong by coming in and scoring goals? Hey, he done well. But as far as I'm concerned, I would have preferred 2 new strikers to come in and then hopefully develop Balogun moving forward. But listen, I'm not the manager.
Regardless of whether they're going to give him 100 grand, 80 grand, Mark B, and whatever that is, I don't mind the Elneny 1-year deal at all because he's a good squad player, right? But the difference is, I think sometimes fringe players come in and do a job, like Holding comes in, has a couple of good games, and some folks think he's the answer, or the club thinks he's the answer. Elneny comes in, has a few good games, the club think he's the answer. Eddie comes in, has a few games, they think he's the answer. They're not. They're fringe players, and at best, are they the fringe players that we need? Still super weak when it comes to, if we have injuries and you're looking at who's coming in for, the starting 11. What's your take on the Eddie thing? The guy who didn't even want to stay at the club and somehow we're still trying to convince him to stay. I think if I'm going to negotiate a deal with my next employer, I'm going to hire Eddie Nketiah's agent because he has played an absolute blinder here.
Well, I totally agree with you, Soph. And you look at Edu and Arteta, and it's like a scene out of Dumb and Dumber. It's like just when you couldn't possibly do anything more stupid or dumber, you go and sign. I mean, I agree with the Elneny, the 1-year extension, because yes, as a third choice backup, that's where he is. That's his level. And if we're in a problem and we need to call upon him, he'll do a job. But he's not going to get us into the top 4. Nketiah, we've spent the January clearing the decks. The finances. A lot of the Arsenal supporters seem to be accountants, and they were cheering that we didn't buy anyone in January because they were saying, no, we need to get the right person. Let's clear the decks. Let's and be accountants, and let's make sure the club saving money. And then they go and sign Nketiah, which for me, he's a third choice in the squad. So yes, if he wants to hang around and play and be third choice and sit on the bench for a bit, that's fine. Not when you're on 100,000 a week. It just doesn't make sense, and it's just a strange decision that they've made. But it's not the first.
Marky, before I get you guys out on your 3 things for the season, I'm sick and tired of us trying to convince players. Arteta made a comment saying, if it's a privilege to play for this club, yet He's tried to convince Xhaka to stay, convince Eddie to stay, convince El Neni to stay, convince Rob Holding to stay. This is where, for some Arsenal fans, the rubber meets the road in that, well, you could argue, okay, Guendouzi was a much more talented player, but I don't want him because he's got character flaws. Saliba, a much better quality player, maybe could have infiltrated himself into the squad this season, but I'm going to let him stay on loan for 3 years. Torreira, okay, fine, he's not happy in London. Let's just send him back to Italy. Mavropanos not really given a chance, shines in Bundesliga, makes teams of the week, and we sell him for tuppence. Can you make this make sense for me?
Me or Marky?
No, Marky.
Yeah, it's just really, really strange. You'd think these players who are not elite players would be given their right arm to be at a club like Arsenal. And you're right. What are we doing? Bending over backwards for these, these middle sort of middle of the road players, which should be just giving everything they can to be having a career at a great club like Arsenal. We really need to make. I want to say make Arsenal great again, but they think I should use that term. But it's just really bizarre. And I think going to talk about Nketiah again, that it seems a bit like how Willock was like the back end of last season. It was very streaky, scored a few goals, and then Newcastle, like, reactionary off the back of that, signed him, and he hasn't really done too much from this season. I just don't think you can give someone £100,000 contract on doing above average, because he was our only resort the last few games of the season. It just seems a really, really strange decision.
Okay, so let's get you three guys out on this before we bring in our very special next guest. Best player this season, your favorite moment, and the thing that gives you hope. Mark B. And by the way, you're both getting a lot of love in the chat. And
thank you, guys.
Do not be mistaken, because we've got Guna Rose and Guna Russ in the house, and I think you'll realise who is whom by their tweets, by their comments. But Mark B, let's start with you. Best player, favourite moment, and the thing that gives you hope.
For me, my best player is Martin Odegaard. Without doubt, he's a conductor in the orchestra. When Arsenal are playing and they're playing well, he's the guy who's just making everything happen. He's making the magic happen. So he's the player of the season, Arsenal's player of the season. The moment for me, I think, was an overall game where I think we just seemed to smash Chelsea. We're 4-2, and again, you could take snippets of quite a few games this season where we've actually played unbelievable. But then it's Leeds. We were cruising against Leeds, and then suddenly it's just made hard work of trying to beat 10-man Leeds. So I think that's where I'd like to see us just this season to punish teams if we learn anything from last season. But that would be my favourite game of the season against Chelsea. And sorry, what's the third question?
The thing that gives you hope.
The positives. I'll take a positive that we're in the Europa League, but that has to be built upon now. We have to build on that and say Arteta's now actually put himself in a very, very difficult situation, because next season, where we're told the improvement, he has to improve on a fifth place, so he has to improve on that. So we're talking about winning silverware and taking maybe the domestic cups more seriously than he has done. So that's for me.
Well said. And I'd like you to be in the room for this, Mark, because I know you love one of these moments, is when we have like almost 330 now in live chat, and the likes aren't even half that. You don't want Kev going, we're going to bring Vinny out, because Mark B's never had a moment on the live show with Vinny either. And Kev, it's time to do a little bit of this.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, Sophie? I can't believe that the Squaddies. We got a Marky B and Marky on. We're giving up our time, and we don't even get 160 likes. Come on, Squaddies.
I'm taking it personally. I think they obviously not hitting the like because it's something I've done or said.
No, exactly.
Come on, guys.
You should take it personally.
Next.
That should be, and it's the fan show.
At least so as well. So that's the main thing, We're on a decent wage.
All right, you heard it. All right, Marky, your favorite moment, your best player, and your hope.
Okay, so my favourite moment, these are all a bit left field, I think. So my favourite player of my player of the season has been Ramsdale. I think to come in and absolutely boss being taken over from Leno. I think he's done so well. Some unbelievable saves this season. Yeah, he's absolutely smashed it. A favourite moment, again, a bit, yeah, so like left field. Wolverhampton Wanderers away. I just think to go down to 10 men and grind that result out, and it was just a performance that I hadn't seen us play in a long time. I think there's been times we've gone down to 10 men and got absolutely embarrassed, but to go there and grind out a performance like that, I thought was amazing. And hoped, I just think we've just got so many good young players coming through. Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli. Yeah, we've got so much. There's so much positivity there, and I know I'm not looking at it as rose-tinted glasses, but I would take where we are at a club right now than where Spurs are at, 100%.
All right, fair enough. Listen, the two Marks. I think this could be a show next season.
Well, I'm Marky.
Yeah, exactly. Good job, man. Good job. You are the superior Mark, mate.
I'm gonna let Kev take you out because he's met both of you, and I know he's very fond of you guys. And Kev, what last note do you have for these two?
Listen, both Marks make really good points, obviously, but again, the key to everything moving forward, and I'm sure the boys will agree, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, is the transfer window now. To get the transfer window right, and we'll be all right next season. I truly believe that.
Okay, awesome. The Marx Brothers. I like that, Los Angeles. Thank you, boys. Be safe. We love you. And thanks so much for taking time out of your day that you could be spending with your loved ones to spend with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that's Marky Mark and Mark B. Next up, we have now someone who's never been on the show before, and I've only communicated with him via email, Kev. But you know how much we love our fans in Africa. Mm-hmm. We have massive listenership in a number of different countries. And he's going to correct me if I get his name wrong, but I think it's pronounced Ihis. But he'll let us know. From Nigeria, good evening and welcome to the Highbury Squad.
Good evening, Sophie. Good evening, Kevin Campbell.
Yo, my man, how you doing? At ease, Ihis.
Yeah, it is, man. I'm so gassed to be on the show today, man. I'm so happy. It's like a dream come true, man.
I love getting your note. Oh, it's wonderful to have you, Kev. And did I pronounce your name correctly?
Well, apparently, in Nigeria, we have this particular issue with pronouncing words, consonants and vowel. So it's not E, it's E. Like Ahis.
Ahis.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Okay, perfect. Well, I loved your letter, and I'm so happy that you reached out. We love our listeners in Nigeria. You're rocking that Arsenal shirt, by the way. You look super fly. Why don't you talk? You tell us about where you, because we've never spoken before. So I would love to know where you stand as an Arsenal fan, the season, everything. This is your time. You tell me and Kevin what you think.
Well, like I said, I'm very, very happy to be on the show this evening, and it's very, very. I don't know. I can't pick the words right now, but I'm so elated to be talking with a legend, an Arsenal legend, and also Sophie. I've been an ardent listener of your podcast, though I don't follow live, but I listen to the pre-recorded episodes, and I tune in every time. Even right here in Nigeria, I run a football channel, but I don't know if it's right for me to call the name, but let me keep that aside. And I've been supporting Arsenal since I was my teenage age. Kanu Nwankwo really was the guy that led us to support Arsenal when he joined 1998, 97, 98 thereabout. And the love for Arsenal for me has been on the up from then. But back here in Nigeria, there are these rivalries. We have this rivalry. Manchester United, Chelsea, they're always on our necks. And they're always on our neck waiting to banter us. And I'm surprised that I think the club don't understand the level of followership they have worldwide, especially in Africa. And this Manchester United fans and Chelsea fans, they're just waiting for us to lose. And recently, Arsenal has been this club that everybody just meme at, make fun at, and banter. Like, everybody predicted that we are going to bottle that top 4 race, and it happened. For whatever reason, I don't know how it happened, but I was I had the Mikel Arteta song on my phone, just waiting for us to pick the top 4, and I put it up on my social media platform. But I just had to keep it. I just had to eat the humble pie, like Sophie always say. But I don't know if Sophie ate the humble pie. I don't know. Did you?
No, it's in the freezer.
It's in the freezer
to
now.
go back.
So it's so the season started in a shambolic way. 3 matches, lost the 3, didn't score, conceded 9, and after the international break, we came back 1-0 against Norwich City, and we took the neighbors, Tottenham. We beat them, tear them apart, and ever since then it's been topsy-turvy. We go on a 5 games winning streak, and the winning streak comes to an end. We lose, we come back again. But January was the pivotal moment in the club's season where Mikel Arteta, for whatever reason, is the manager, and every decision he makes, we as fans, we have to back him up. Like, I just don't want to be sucked into the negativity, because right now I know Arteta divides the opinion of the Arsenal fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Some want him out, some want him in. 3 days ago or 4 days ago, after the season came to an end, Arteta out, hashtag Arteta out, was trending again on Twitter for whatever reason. But the thing is, now we're here. The way the season went, I thought we're going to make the top 4 because we had it in our hands. 4 points ahead of Tottenham Hotspur. And for whatever reason, we just went on that form and we lost those games, especially against Tottenham. I don't know whatever happened to Rob Holding in that match. I don't know what came into his head. I don't know why he had to do that. And that red card was what killed that game for us. Moving on to Newcastle, we just needed to draw that match. And we heard what Shaka said when he had his press conference, that I don't know if I'm permitted to use that word, that most of the players didn't have the balls, that if everybody wanted to see it at home, they should see it at home. And also, the 3 games we keep talking about, Crystal Palace, Brighton, and Southampton, those 3 games that we lost, dropping 9 points was so important. Imagine if we had made 5 points out of those 3 games, possibly draw Southampton, win Brighton, and also draw Crystal Palace away. That's 5 points. And right now, Tottenham, when the season came to an end, Tottenham were just 2 points ahead of us. So 2 points, 5 points, that's 3 points. We're ahead of Tottenham. And also some games we lost during the season at home. The games we drew, Burnley at home. I know there were a lot of injury issues back then. And this other game we lost. Yeah, a couple of games that we lost. We're not supposed to have lost those games, but those were the critical games that cost us. And also, I wanted to talk about January, the January transfer window, when we failed to beef the team up. Mikel Arteta, the manager, had to make the team, it had to, let go of some players. And we had just 16 outfield players, if my stats have been right. And I feel that was a decision that has come back to bite us in the butt, and us not making the top 4 come end of the season.
Great analysis, Kev. And we love having not heard your perspective and opinion before. You've encapsulated it perfectly. Kev, do you have a question for Ehis?
Yeah, I do. And it's kind of going to take a little bit from one of your questions at the end. Ehis, what positive do you take out of this season? The one big positive out of this season that we can carry on to next season?
Well, the positive thing I can take out of this season is the young players, Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe, Martinelli. I know this season was kind of like a season where they took it a step further in their career, in their performances. We saw they were the ones that carried the team the entire season up until when it got to the time where they couldn't carry it anymore. And the big guys or the senior players, with due respect to them, didn't turn up when they were needed. So one of the positive is players like Saka, Martinelli, Smith-Rowe came up. You could see the stats, the number of goals they scored in the EPL. I'm sure they didn't even score half of that in the previous season. So that's one positive. And I think the second that I would mention is Arteta. I know this is the first major job as a manager of any club. And I'm so sure that he has learnt from previous season. Yes, I know there's still an issue of managing players.
They're still learning to do. They're still learning to do.
They're still learning to do. I saw a stat that last season we finished how many points? We finished 8th position. And I don't know if my stats have been right, but like the number of points we finished with this season that just finished is higher than what we finished in 2020-2021 season. So I know the only way is up there. There is no way Arteta should come down in whatever, in terms of performance, in terms of management. So that is one more positive that I've taken out, that Arteta needs to grow, and he has grown. Even if we can measure it like 10% or 15%, but there's still a measurement. There's still a measurement of growth in his managerial career. Thirdly, the fans. The way the fans have turned the Emirates into a fortress. I've never been to the Emirates. It's on my checklist. So one of these days, I will travel down to the Emirates to watch an Arsenal game. And hopefully I want that match to be against Tottenham and see us beat them and wipe them, beat them clean. But the way the Arsenal fans have turned the Emirates, we watch on TV. It's not like the time when Wenger was there. It's not like the time when Unai Emery was there. Emirates has been turned into a fortress, and I like it. I like the support. I like the way the fans get behind the team despite us not performing or despite the team not giving us what we want, which is Champions League. But I want us to continue that way. Here, I render my support. I shout, I scream. My neighbors act like, what's wrong with this guy? I said, yes, it's Arsenal that is playing. So I shout and make a lot of noise when Arsenal score. My wife, she's tired of me when Arsenal is playing.
I love that.
Those are the three
that's perfect. That's a brilliant way to finish. I have a feeling that we will have you back on this show next season. What a fantastic debut! And are you on social media? Are you on social media? Do you have a handle that some of your fellow Arsenal fans here can follow you on?
Well, I'm not a social media media guy, but I have a social media handle is at Ehis, HEYHEES, and I also run a football channel. It's called Footy Wit, FOTYWIT. So we just banter. I have a lot of Manchester United fans on the channel. So we go at each other. We have a go at each other every time. And like I told them, this season, Manchester United is 58 points, 58 goals conceded, and 58 goals scored. So the goal difference is 0.
Excellent. Okay, so look, this is the thing. I know there's a lot of you in chat that have agreed with MK and Lucy and Marky Mark and Mark B and Ehis, and some of you have completely disagreed. The beauty about our show is that you can come on here and express yourself, and all opinions are welcome because we have a kind community where we can go back and forth with respect. You have done that brilliantly, and we will be in touch to get you back on next season. Thank you so much for joining us. Give our love to Nigeria and the wonderful continent of Africa. We have wonderful listeners.
Everybody there, give them a blessing from the Highbury Squad, all the Squaddies, and we salute you, Ace. Yes.
It's a pleasure to be with a legend.
God bless.
Take care. Good night.
Yeah.
Kev, we've got a great listenership in Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, Angola, Nigeria. It really is a very, very special place. I'm going to bring someone else in now before you go, because we're losing Kev in just a couple minutes, but I at least want him to have a minute with you on screen. His name is Lawrence. He's based in the United States, and I believe I was introduced to him by Mr. Guna Russ. He said he's a great guy. He wants to come on and have his say too. So, Lawrence, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good afternoon. Happy 33rd anniversary.
Hi, Lawrence. Happy 33rd anniversary, mate.
Hello.
Yep, we could hear you.
Yeah, it's up for grabs.
It's up for grabs now.
You have a bit of a poor internet connection. You have a bit of a poor internet connection. There's a bit of a delay, even though you're in the United States. Why don't you ask Kev a quick question before you lose him?
Yeah, Kevin. Oh wow. Who would you go after as a striker to improve us? Because I don't think Gabriel Jesus will join us now that we're not in the Champions League.
I beg to differ on that one, Lawrence. I think he will come to Arsenal. Listen, I've said all along I wanted two strikers. I think Jesus is a good striker. Considering the circumstances at Man City, where he's had Sergio Aguero, who's had to go up, and that at times they haven't played with a striker. It's been difficult. I think we've lost him a bit there. So, and
yeah, he has a bit of an internet issue.
His internet's not good. So just to answer that question, so Lawrence could see it after, obviously. I still like Tammy Abraham, Soph. I like Tammy Abraham. I like his size. I like the way he attacks balls in the box. I like everything about him, to be honest. And fair enough, he did join us last summer, but he's proved himself in Italy that, what is it, 20-odd goals this season? I think if we'd have had him or Jesus at the top end of the pitch for half a season, we would have been clear, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you've said that. You've said that before, Kev. We talked about how it's, we're supportive of getting rid of Oba in January, but what are you doing to replace
bring a
him?
body in.
I do have, I've got Kev. So he wanted me to say hi, both of them. They weren't able to be on the show today, but I have a video that I'm going to play from Mr. Jack Stevenson, who's probably one of the most epic gooners on the planet. And of course, Demian, who's been a massive contributor to our channel this season, especially on the women's side. So I'm going to play those videos after you duck out. You're going off.
Wish them well. Wish everybody well.
I will, Kev. And Kev's off to do a show for Nottingham Forest. He's going to be covering the most expensive game on the planet other than the Champions League, the match to get into the Premier League. You're Nottingham Forest playing, Kev. So we wish them a ton of luck.
Yes, we do. And Squaddies, enough love to you. Enough love to you, Soph, as always. To anybody, Damian, and everyone coming on, who's been on, who's not on, who's watching this on replay. Listen, we love you. Take good care. And you know what, Squaddies? At ease, Squaddies.
We'll see you later, Kev. Take care.
Goodbye. Bye.
Bye. All right, Kev's off to do another show. I've got a couple videos for you guys for some... and I'm going to have Kev explain this picture. I forgot to put it up, by the way. But this is the fans' show. This is the show that gives you a voice. We hope that you guys... That's my grandfather clock, which I have in the house because it reminds me of being in England. And it's my very own Big Ben. On New Year's Eve, when this chimes, it makes me feel like I'm standing in Trafalgar Square. Yes. Arsenal fans, you've been fantastic this season, despite our peaks and troughs, our challenges. We've got to stick together and believe, whether we're disappointed or not. Express yourselves, have your opinions with kindness, but be vocal, be honest, and always say it like it is for you. Right, I've got a video here for you from a super gunner. Jack Stevenson was the man who totally hooked me up when I went to the UK. I had brilliant seats, and it's because of him that I actually became friends with the legend that is Maria. Thanks to Jack, I am a friend with Maria now too, which is one thing that I cherish so much about being part of the Arsenal community. Here's what Jack has to say. Here we go.
Hi Sophie, it's Jack. Thank you for letting me say some words about Arsenal on your show. I know I'm not in LA, but closest to it, I'm at the Grams Theatre at the Hollywood Studios. Just want to say 4 things I think was very, very important about our season. Number 1, that expectation-wise, we went through some highs and lows. When we were at bottom, if someone had said we could finish 5th, would we have been happy with that? Yes, but I always aim, I think that our minimum requirement is 4th. I think we are the 4th best team in the country. But what we have to do is congratulate Spurs, even though they're our mortal opponent. They took 8 points off City and Liverpool, and forget about what happened with the terrible refereeing decisions that we had, the real bad luck in terms of the fact being that our top striker, Dan Tools, in December, at a very, very crucial time, we had no time to replace him. The fact being even players like Winduzi and Saliba could have been really, really useful to have in the squad that might have got us over the line. We, at the end of the day, have got a fantastic future ahead of us, and I think that Arsenal should be very, very proud of how they've moved forward this season. We're definitely closer to Chelsea, and if you look, the 2 best teams in the country being Man City and Liverpool. We played Man City off the park on January the 1st. Liverpool, in our home game in the league, they got 2 late goals, but we were well in that game. Decisions went our right way. Who would have known? I think we have deserved 4th. I think if I was in the other team's shoes saying we took 8 points off Man City and Liverpool, you could argue it differently. We have tremendous prospects for next year. We've got a squad that doesn't need much going to it. I'd personally love Jude Bellingham to come from Dortmund. It's a dream. I think he'd fit so fantastically into our type of pressing. I think he's at the right age where he can fit in with the other players. And please God, we make the right signings. Little bit of a secret. I did speak to someone at Arsenal who did say to me that the plan was, even if we don't get top 4, all of the players we're after, we're going to get. So I'll take great solace from that. So anyway, love the Arsenal family, and the fans have been fantastic this year. That Wolves game, we came back because of the fans. Come on, Arsenal.
And if anyone might know, it's Jack. He's well in the know, and he wanted everyone to know that he thinks Arteta's done a good job, and he fully stands behind the manager. He does great things in the community as well. And let me tell you, if anyone's traveling from overseas, Jack takes care of them big time, big time. So, yeah, there's talk of Serge, there's talk of Gabriel Jesus, there's talk of Tillemans, there's talk of a lot of different players. Let's hope that, we're able to bring the players in. The proof will be in the summer pudding. At the end of the day, the owners and the hierarchy have to deliver. And if we are going to build around the Sakas and the Emil Smith-Rowes and the Martinellis of the world and want to keep Gabriel away from the clutches of a Juventus, we've got to invest. And otherwise, we're going to keep falling further behind. It feels like this season was that opportunity, like Leicester winning the league. We should have won the league that year. A little bit like, when we went on that run against Chelsea, Man United and West Ham, you really started believing, wow, we could get back into the Champions League. When Danny Welbeck scored that header from Ozil's free kick, was it a free kick or a corner? I can't remember because I was there and I lost my mind. That day was ridiculously unbelievable. And I think all of us at that point felt like we were going to win the title that season. So it does feel like a missed opportunity no matter which end of the spectrum you are on. We had it in our hands and we lost it. Okay, one more video for you for tonight. This one is from one of my favorite humans, let alone Gooners. He will be with me next week. We're going to have some great guests over the summer, you guys. You're going to want to watch out for this. I'll be launching it next week, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it later. But here's Demian's thoughts.
What is going on, Highbury Squad fam? Demian here, and I want to thank not only all of you that always interact whenever I'm on this beautiful channel, but I want to thank both of you, Kevin and Soph, for your relentless work, selfless, genuine, loving, for all things Arsenal. I'm just so floored every time you get, or I get to be invited to this. It's absolutely lovely. And this was a very intense season for us Arsenal fans, as it always is. What can I say? I'll start with the men. The men's squad was probably, we ended up right where we deserved. And I know this is a topic of conversation, but of course I would have loved it to make it to the Champions League. I just don't know if we are ready for that. But at the same time, had we made it, maybe we could have attracted better talent to help us do better in the competition. So catch 22, chicken or the egg, or anything like that. But it is what it is, and I wish things would have been differently, of course. Now, if you are just seeing me for the first time, I'm obsessed with the Arsenal women's squad, and that's sort of what I focus on, not only through the podcasts that I do or the Twitch streams, but on this amazing channel. And one of the things that I would take away from this season was the amount of progress we made. I know we relate that word to, trust the progress instead of trust the process recently, but the progress that the women have made has been incredible. We only lost the WSL title by 1 point. And it was just amazing to see Viviana Miedema drop back and play as a number 10. I had predicted Beth Mead would have her best season ever, and she did. It was incredible. And it was just amazing to see players just be incredibly consistent. Of course, there was a sort of lows with Jordan Nobbs getting injured and, that loss against Birmingham that cost us the WSL title effectively. But overall, I'm just beyond happy with Viv signing her new contract. I believe that this summer is going to be very important now that Jonas Eidevall resigned, and he's going to have a better understanding of the club as a whole and the culture of the club as a whole, and would ideally sign better players. And I'm really excited. I'm very, very excited about all things Arsenal, especially all things Arsenal women. And I will be talking about this very topic next week, so I'll see you there. Thank you, Soph. Thank you, Kevin. Love you guys, and I'll see you very soon.
Love that guy. Love his vibe. Love everything about him. He has promised us he will play all season. I'm pretty sure next Wednesday we will have him play. On the Highbury Squad, we're going to start the summer series. Remember our lockdown series where we all came together in a time where we needed to connect as humans, even though we weren't able to see each other. We came out to you every single night. The summer series may not be every single day, but it's going to be a one-on-one type show where we will have unique and special guests talking football, life, pop culture, and all sorts of different things. Demian will be on next week. LeGrove will be on the show as well next Thursday. If you are a fan of LeGrove and his work, he'll be joining me next week as well. And then the following week, we have Susie Rack on, who is an epic writer for the women's game. She writes incredible things for The Guardian, and she has a new book out where she has quotes and contributions from pretty much every top shelf player in the game. And Susie Rack will be coming on to talk about her book and also give us a preview on the women's Euros and what she thinks is going to happen this summer. Can't wait for that. The Highbury Squad will be coming to you during the Euros. We'll be covering that with some fantastic guests as well. And then have an announcement next week on another special series that's coming with someone who I have a tremendous amount of respect for and love talking football with. And we will let you know about that next week. So plenty more to come. I'd like to thank everyone who's been on the show. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do so. Let us know how you feel regarding all of the thoughts that were expressed tonight. You are the voice of this show. You always have been. You always will be. We will absolutely be coming at you with some more good stuff, as I have said. Let me see what else is on my housekeeping list for today. That's going to be it for this week. No more live shows for this week. We'll be back next week. It's a bank holiday on Monday. But we will be returning on Tuesday. Jim Piddock will be back, the Crystal Palace fan and the author, writer, producer, director who's worked with pretty much everyone in Hollywood. You're not going to want to miss his stories. Promised I'd bring him back to talk about his book. He had the Will Smith story before the Academy Awards, so Jim will share that with you. A top shelf guy. We've got Demian, we've got LeGrove, and we've got Susie Rack the week after. Feels like a bit like Jimmy Fallon late night here, doesn't it? I want to thank all the squaddies in the chat for keeping the vibe going. Been brilliant hanging out with all of you. And just thank you, as always, so much gratitude for each and every single one of you. All right, that's all we've got for tonight. If you're interested in hearing a little bit more of Kev, he's on the Nottingham Forest TV show right now on YouTube. We have the Champions League to look forward to on Saturday. I'm pretty sure that we're all rooting for Real Madrid. I'll be shocked if anyone is rooting for Liverpool who supports the Arsenal. Can't see that happening. Be a great game, great spectacle, of course. And for those of you who are part of the Arsenal community in the United States, the team coming over, of course, in Baltimore and also going to Orlando. So we'll talk about that a little bit closer to the time. Until then, I love you guys so much. Please be safe. Please take care of yourselves. As Kev would say, tell those you love them. Don't ever wait for another day to tell someone that you love them. To the Arsenal fans from all corners of the earth, thank you so much for always engaging with us. And we will see you next week. In the meantime, be sure to catch up on shows on the YouTube channel. Until then, take care, everyone. Good night.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
It's always harder to find the other button when Kev's not here doing his bit.